Hello, anybody home? Good evening and welcome to Thursday Night Live with Chef Brackman. I'll just allow a few moments for people to join. How are you doing? Welcome. Happy New Year. This is the first scheduled live for this year, and we haven't been live for a while. I think the last one was in October. So, welcome. Happy New Year. How are you doing? So, the topic for tonight is SMART goals for wellness. And I felt that we should start with a healthy topic for the year. Where is everybody? 1 minute. Okay. I'm going to get started, and I think they'll just catch up when they arrive. So, SMART goals for well-being. The SMART framework is a framework that is used across industry, and it can also be used in wellness and health. So basically, setting goals that are SMART, means that your goals have to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. So it can't just be wishes. I want to lose weight. It has to be a plan, a roadmap, measurable deliverables, and we'll get there. But before we get into the theme of tonight, I just wanted to discuss being healthy versus being well, because most people will tell you they're healthy, so they don't need us. By the way, I am a nutritional therapist, a licensed nutritional therapist. So that's the capacity that we're having this live on. So, are you healthy? According to the medical model, yes, if you have no diagnosed disease, if your blood tests fall within the reference ranges and you're not on medication for any named condition, you're healthy. But are you well? So wellness is a full spectrum. It's not a binary like health, disease or no disease. Wellness is a spectrum. Are you waking up tired, or are you waking up refreshed? Do you have constipation? Are you having less than 3 bowel movements a week? We consider that constipation. Are you having rapid transit time and always having diarrhea? Are you bloated after meals? Are you bloated an hour after meals or 3 hours after meals? Two of them have different implications, but it has an underlying cause. Do you have frequent headaches, hormonal symptoms? Are your joints aching? Do you have mood swings, brain fog? Are you becoming sensitive to perfumes? All of a sudden, you can't tolerate smells, especially perfumes. You can't tolerate caffeine. A lot is going on. So this is where we talk about wellness. You can be healthy because you don't have a named disease, but are you well? And that's what we need to discuss. That's why we're here, to start the year well, to start addressing these issues, because health is what the doctor can diagnose, but wellness is about how your body feels and functions every day. So when you're well, digestion is comfortable and regular, energy level is stable, elimination is daily and effortless, sleep is restorative, pain and inflammation are absent or minimal, hormones, immunity, and metabolism are functioning as they're designed. That is wellness. And that is what I want for us this year. So, symptoms that you have, these different symptoms that I have mentioned, are your body communicating with you to look at your nutrition, at your lifestyle. Sometimes it's all connected. And why does this matter? Because people normalize discomfort. They tell you the cramps that you have, other women have it, but yours is more serious, is more excruciating. Every month you're hospitalized, each time you have a period, you need to have iron supplementation. It's not normal, right? So we have to start asking questions and looking at the underlying cause, because these symptoms sometimes have a more serious, and sometimes you know you're not well, but you're waiting for a diagnosis to take action. So there are people that you will tell to exercise, to eat healthy, to take supplements. They will never do it until they have a diagnosis. So you lose valuable time that you could have prevented disease. That is why we're here. Many accept some symptoms as aging, as perimenopause, as menopause, but yours is just more serious than other people's hot flushes. Your brain fog is more serious. Your energy slumps is more serious. So it's just so that you start thinking about wellness based on these kind of things. And I want you to take a moment and think, when last did I feel well? When last did I sleep and wake up refreshed? When last was I having regular bowel movements? This is the kind of conversation you should have with yourself, things you should write down and start taking note of. So, because early dysfunction always starts before the disease appears, and sometimes the disease arrives a few years later. So the point of this conversation today is just so that we pay more attention to these little symptoms, try to address them however we can, and do our best. Just stay in tune with our bodies. So before we do the sample goal setting using the SMART framework, I just wanted us to look at a holistic approach to wellness. So we're going to look at nutrition and lifestyle. So in nutrition, protein, there are different protein recommendations out there. When I was in college, I think the WHO recommendation was like 0.6 grams per kilo body weight. Was like, if you're sedentary and you're not moving, it will keep you alive, but you should do at least 0.8 grams of protein per body weight. And then a more recent one says 1 gram per kilo body weight, 1 gram to 1.2 grams. And that is for an adult, not pregnant, not lactating, and not an athlete. So just normal protein needs. So now, if you're 70 kg and you're using the 1 gram per kilo body weight, it means that you need 70 grams of protein a day, not more. Something like that, which means that if you take 2 eggs in the morning, each egg is about 6 grams of protein. So that's 12 grams of protein in the bag. You eat chicken breasts, a big chicken breast that's about 120 grams. That's 30 grams of protein in the bag. And then if you eat a piece of fish, there's about 100 to 120 grams in the evening. That's another 30 grams of protein. That's 72 grams. And you haven't even taken into account protein from whole grains, from legumes, from nuts, from seeds, from other sources. So it's possible to get your protein intake without eating a whole chicken, without eating a baby goat, because when you overeat protein, because you're very protein focused, you also eat a lot of calories and a lot of saturated fats. And you have to burn it, because anything you don't burn, you store, right? If you bought a new car and you packed it and you just kept fueling it, it will store the fuel, no? So our body, we have what we call the basal metabolic rate. This is the number of calories that your body needs to keep the light on, for your blood to pump, for your heart to beat, for your brain to function. The baseline, if you're just lying in your bed doing nothing. So after that calorie, any calories you're eating, if you're not moving, if you're not using it, you're storing it as fat. So we should also aim for about 25 to 30 grams of fiber. Dietary fiber is very important. We nutritionists will keep talking about it, because this is what adds bulk to your stool, feeds your gut microbiome, protects you, improves your immune health, and helps your elimination. Now imagine, I will keep talking about constipation and elimination, because imagine if you had a dustbin in your kitchen and you empty it only twice a week. And in that week, you've cooked fish, you've cooked shrimp, you've cooked a few vegetables. So all this is fermenting in the bin in your kitchen. Would you like it? So imagine that this is what's going on in your gut. Your poop doesn't start smelling when it hits the toilet. It had that smell where it came from, which means that try to eat more plant sources of protein as well. Eat more fiber, just so that you have more regularity in your gut, and eat healthy fats. And then we're going to talk about water, because the problem with our nutrition in this era, which is why people seem to be struggling with their health, is that our food is more processed. So it has less fiber. It has more added sugars. It has more added salt. There's trans fat, which is not helpful for our health at all. It's more calorie dense, while also not being very nutrient dense. So we need our nutrients for our bodies to function. So we need to start paying attention to not eating empty calories, drinking sugary drinks. We're trying to focus on our health this year. So under nutrition, we also have to talk about water. You need to stay hydrated. Water supports a host of bodily functions. So you just need to drink water and aim to have like pale yellow urine. Just try that. You can start with 2 liters a day, but try to stay hydrated throughout the day. And sunlight. You need sunlight for your vitamin D. So please allow yourself some sun exposure this year. Allow yourself some morning sun exposure. Even if you have to do some gardening, if you have to walk in the morning, just find a way to allow yourself exposure to the sun before you plaster all the sunscreen for the day. Just try to include it into your routine this year. And eat a wide variety. I know you like what you like, and what you like is available. But our ancestors were hunter-gatherers, which means they ate what they found. They ate food that was in season. But now we have preferences. So you can eat rice every day of the week and twice on Sundays, but it's not always the best for you. So I just want to encourage us to eat a wide range of fruits, of vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains, legumes. Eat a wide variety of foods. And then we're going to talk about lifestyle. You need to move. Movement, exercise, contracting your muscles improves insulin sensitivity, which improves your blood sugar balance. So we need to move this year. This is not the goal setting. We'll get to the goal setting soon. This is just talking about some of the elements that will come into the goal setting, right? So you need to move. And stress is a lifestyle component that I am very passionate about. Stress, because stress can cause a lot of health problems. And I understand that some people do not fully understand what stress is. So they use stress loosely for different things. If you come back from work tired, you say you're stressed. If you had a hard day, you say you're stressed. But no, stress is physiological. Stress is one of our primitive functions as humans when we were likely to run into a lion or a wild animal. So stress, to explain stress accurately, we need to talk about the stress response and stressors. So something happens, whatever makes your body respond is a stressor. So basically the stress response is that your nervous system and your endocrine system, so hormones, coordinate the stress response. So if your brain perceives something as a threat to your life, it engineers this response so that you can fight or you can flee. So it's the fight or flee response. So in your nervous system, you have what we call the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system deals with this fighting or fleeing. So in a fight or flee situation, it will increase your blood pressure. It will increase your heart rate. It will increase your blood sugar. Everything that you need to give your muscles the sugar they need to run. So sometimes, like, you're unlikely to run into a lion now on your streets, but there might be armed robbers, there might be kidnappers, someone might have a gun. Sometimes there's been a situation where you fled so quickly, and then when you settle down, you start to think, how did I run that fast? What happened? That's the stress response. It dispatches all these resources for you to flee. And the other side, the parasympathetic nervous system, is the rest and digest. So it's the opposite of this. This is where you rest, you digest, you restore. So when one is dominant, it can cause problems. So now in our modern life, we no longer have the stressors that we used to have, right? But this stress adaptation is still there. So it now about how we are perceiving things around us. So in stress, perception is projection. That is why you need to start thinking about what are the situations that put my body in stress response, and you start to see how you can manage it. For example, you might go to a gathering, maybe you're in a meeting, you're in church or wherever, and then all of a sudden someone points at you, your boss points at you and says you should say a prayer. And you're not a praying person. And all of a sudden you stand and you feel your heart beating, your face is feeling hot. That is a stress response. But it's acute because you will say that prayer, or you say you don't know how to do it, and it will be over. Then you start taking deep breaths and you feel better. Now imagine that you have a stressor, and it's not a physical stress that you run and it will end. It's chronic, which means that it goes on and on. Like you have a sick parent, or you have a sick partner, or you have a project at work that you can't handle. So this stressor might last for months or years, and you have these periods that you stay elevated, blood sugar, blood pressure. It can be a health risk. That is why I encourage us to manage stress where as much as possible. And also, stress affects our digestion and absorption of nutrients, because the first phase of digestion is what we call the cephalic phase of digestion. This is where you see food, you perceive food. Your brain knows that food is coming and starts increasing the saliva in your mouth to start the digestion of that food. Now, if you're stressed, if you're not mindful, if you're not relaxing to eat your food, this cephalic phase will not happen. So your mouth will be drier than normal. And if it doesn't happen, it will not stimulate the gastric juices and the hydrochloric acid that you need to digest protein and other things further down. And if your stomach acid is not doing well, your bile secretion further down, which will affect fat absorption. So it just keeps trickling down. This is why sometimes you eat a balanced diet, you even use supplements, but everything, you're not absorbing anything. So you're still tired and you're still not doing well. So this year, I want us to think about nutrition, also think about stress, think about movement and sleep. Sleep is very important. Sleep can regulate your body weight. It aids recovery. And it also determines how your body uses the calories that you consume. So please, this year, sleep is very important. And as well as these things, there are some environmental factors. We know now that we have some endocrine disrupting chemicals that just affect our hormones. Sometimes they're in the plastics that we're using, the cookware that we're cooking with, even some of the skincare we put on ourselves have some of these chemicals. So if you're becoming increasingly sensitive to smells and starting to struggle, you might want to dial it back and maybe try to use more natural products and see if that helps. And then also in lifestyle, we're going to look at spiritual well-being. So in the spiritual well-being, this is where meaning, connection, purpose, and alignment fall in. So Some people, this can be a stressor if you're not feeling centered in your spirit. So if you've moved to a new location, you've relocated abroad, you don't have community, you're struggling to fit in, or you're struggling with your own personal purpose and drive, this can really, really be a stressor. So please, spiritual health this year. And some of the ways to help yourself is to create a quiet daily space for yourself, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes of stillness, to just stay with yourself and think about yourself. Practice gratitude, align your actions with values. So when you do things, does this reflect who I am? Does this reflect who I want to be? So you need to have a higher awareness of yourself. And then community and fellowship are very important for spiritual well-being. Our grandmothers knew this. Our mothers knew this. In our generation, it's starting to fade. Some people don't understand why we need it, but those who do. So if you go to a new place or where you live, people are joining churches, fellowships, religious groups, professional associations, sports clubs, just somewhere that you can be connected with other people. So and then just release some control. Outsource what you can. Just help yourself. So this is about spiritual well-being. And then emotional well-being. This is where it has to do with awareness, expression, and regulation of your emotions. And it's also very important because if you're not emotionally balanced, this can also be a stressor. So you need to look at that. So this is where you name your emotions. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you accept what your emotion is and try to deal with it. So you name the emotion, you allow emotions without judgment, you set emotional boundaries. Because what I have noticed in clinic is that the people pleasers struggle a lot emotionally, the people that can't say no. So you need to learn this year that no is a complete sentence. You don't need to explain your no in a way that people start questioning you and you be explaining and they will twist you like a pretzel. No, set emotional boundaries this year. Is going to help your emotional well-being. Process, don't suppress. Something has happened. Reflect, process what has happened. Let it breathe. And then self-compassion over self-criticism. This year, love yourself. And then we're going to look at mental well-being. It's about thoughts, cognition, focus, and psychological resilience. So challenge unhelpful thoughts, reduce cognitive overload, prioritize your sleep because this is where your mind recovers. Prioritize your sleep this year, move your body regularly, and seek help early if you need help. And also, while nutrition is so important to this spiritual, emotional well-being, is that there are hormones, there are neurotransmitters that are involved in this emotional well-being, mental well-being. We have dopamine, your thyroid hormone, serotonin, oxytocin, estrogen, progesterone. So the nutrients you consume is what this hormones and neurotransmitters are made from. So you just need to eat well and eat right this year. So let's look at SMART. I've already explained to you what SMART is. So it's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound goals. So, for example, if your goal this year was to lose weight, but I don't like the weight loss goals because it puts you under a lot of pressure and you're so focused on the scale and the scale will keep fluctuating. So let's look at it in a different way. Let's just say, okay, over the next 12 weeks, you want to improve your body composition. This could be reduce body fats, increase lean muscle. These are kind of goals that are more productive because you lose fat, especially around the middle, which is the visceral fat, which is metabolically active, and it's just not good. It's there and it can cause a lot of metabolic issues. So body composition by eating 3 balanced meals. So you're setting what it is you're going to do to achieve your goal, not just I want to lose weight and then you just carry on. No, eating 3 balanced meals daily with 25 grams of fiber per day, walking at least 8,000 steps daily, strength training 2 times weekly, and sleeping at least 7 hours per day. Now, some people cannot achieve this 7 hours of sleep for whatever reason. Some people are shift workers, you work night, you come back, your children are making noise. I understand. And this is why we nutrition and lifestyle coaches and nutritional therapists, it is our job to understand you so that we can make you the best plan to fit your lifestyle. But let's say you wanted to sleep 7 hours a day. If you went to bed at 10 p.m. and woke up at 5 a.m., that is 7 hours a day. So you can have different thing, but you should make a conscious effort. And more than just that, more than just saying you will sleep, you have to plan how that sleep will happen. Like you need to make sure your bedroom is comfortable, the coolness, the light. You have to stop taking stimulants like coffee and alcohol a few hours before you want to sleep. You have to try to start reducing the light and the stress before you try to sleep so that your sleep can be restorative. So under specific, that now that we've done an overview goal, specific, you want to improve body composition by improving nutrition quality, digestion, movement, and sleep. So that's specific. You look at the number of meals and the composition of each meal. So that is it for specific. You know what you want to do. Now, measurable. How do we track progress beyond weight? Weight is one thing, but weight can fluctuate because if you build muscle, it's heavier than fat. So you can be making good progress and then be flogging yourself by what the weight the scale is saying. So let's look at other measurables that you can have. Waist circumference. Put a tape, measure your waist when you start your program. And then every few weeks, check if your waist circumference is, because if you have the central obesity, that should be your focus. Because some people, your goal this year should just be your constipation. You eat your fiber, you exercise, you walk through it. If you're abusing laxatives, please let this be the year that you do something different. Let this be the year that we start it right. So waist circumference, energy level. So maybe before you can't go up and down the stairs and you're going up down the stairs. So energy level, hunger, measure your hunger and craving. Now that I eat more fiber in the day, I feel that I don't need snacks anymore. I'm not hungry all the time. I'm not sleepy when I eat food because my food is less processed. These are metrics that are measurable. Bloating and digestion. Oh, I'm not bloated anymore when I eat and I feel better with food, and your clothes fit. And also if you have a named disease, like maybe your blood sugar was high, was pre-diabetic, for example, you can go for another blood test after a few weeks on the program. This is also a measurable metric. So under the measurable also protein, you can say for protein, you have 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal. And for fiber, you have like 25 to 30 grams per day. And your vegetables is like half of your plate is vegetables, not starchy vegetables, like leafy vegetables and non-starchy vegetables, for example. And that you drink enough water so that your urine is pale yellow at least. And then under achievable, you're looking at small, realistic upgrades, lifestyle actions. So you're walking 7,000 to 10,000 steps a day. Your strength training 2 to 3 times a week. And please, for this strength training, I must mention that you don't need a gym for wellness. You can, now that there's YouTube, even as a child, my mother used to use tapes, Jane Fonda and co. She used to do most of her workout at home with the TV. You have YouTube, you have a lot of these things, especially if you were fit before, if you knew the form before, and then you became unfit, maybe you were pregnant, you had an accident or whatever. So you're going back to work out. But if you've never lifted weights, it is my recommendation to find someone who knows what they're doing to put you through, or pay a personal trainer at least for 6 to 12 weeks. In that period, you learn good form. You learn the progression. So you understand when to increase the weights, how many reps you're doing. You learn good form that can carry you through, so that you don't start with injury or working too many muscle groups at the same time. So this kind of thing. So please, if you've decided this year is the year you will start strength training and you've never done it before, I recommend that you start with someone who knows what they're doing, so that you don't get injured. Because the moment you get injured, these injuries can take quite a long time to heal, which means it will derail your goals. And eat slowly. This is also part of that mindfulness I spoke about, and how to control your stress. Eat slowly, and more importantly, chew your food, because a lot of us are investing a lot of money in seeds like chia seeds, flax seeds. They're very healthy, but you're not a chicken, so you don't have a gizzard. And because you're not a chicken and you don't swallow stones with your food, your stomach will never be able to crush that chia seed and that flax seed. So either way, it's beneficial. Even if you don't chew it, it's still beneficial because it will add bulk to your stool. But if you want all that omega-3, omega-6, and the micronutrients in those seeds, it's better to either crush it quickly in a blender before you add it to your oats, or you add it to your smoothie, or you chew it. Please chew it. You see these tiny seeds? Let me say it again. Your stomach will never be able to break them. If you doubt me, check your poop. You can count them. But if you're taking it just for fiber, some people do. They don't want to eat fruits and vegetables, so they will just soak 2 tablespoons of flaxseed and swallow it and know that it will do what it will do in the gut. But if you want it to give you other things, you need to crush it. It's better. Eat slowly and chew your food, because sometimes you take 2 bites of your meat and then swallow it. You think it's the hydrochloric acid that will break it. It will be in your stool. So please, let this year be the year that you get more nutrients from the food you eat, by chewing your food slowly, by carefully chewing your food, by relaxing to eat your food, so that you have that cephalic phase of digestion, so that you have enough stomach acid to digest your protein, so that you... It's interesting here, water. Like I said, chia seeds in any form is good for your health. If you put it in your water and you drink it, it will be fiber. It will be like taking psyllium husk or other fibogel. It will be fiber. It will go to your gut. It will add your gut microorganisms will be happy with you. But if you're hoping to get like the minerals inside it, it's better to crush it or chew it. So if you soak it and it's as chia pudding, you chew it, you get more out of it. But if you're just swallowing, like either way, please, if you have access to it, eat it. It's good. But I'm telling you that if it is crushed, it's better for you. So, and then you can eat slowly. So dedicate like 20 to 30 minutes to eating your food. Avoid distractions. Leave your phone, leave your TV. Just eat your food, please. And you can commit to cooking most of your meals at home. That way you can vouch for the cooking oil that went into your food and that kind of thing. So plan to cook most of your meals at home. So these are things that are achievable. And for relevant, why does this goal even matter? Because you must have your why, right? So you have to think carefully. You can say, I'm trying to support my blood sugar balance because you were always tired. You're always peeing. Each time you eat, you feel sleepy. You've gone to the hospital. They've done your blood test. And they've now told you that you're pre-diabetic. And you need to work on your diet. So you have it. Why? Or my body weight is too much. It's hurting my knees. Or a lot of these hormone symptoms. I want to improve my hormonal health. Or for confidence and mobility. You can't carry yourself. And that is why you want to do this exercise. Or long-term prevention of disease. These are all whys. I know a man that the father didn't get to 70, the grandfather didn't get to 70. More in their family, the men don't get to age 70. They all have a stroke. Do you know, because you're genetically predisposed to something does not mean you must get it. Sometimes, if you start early to make lifestyle changes, you can avoid the same fate or delay it. So, for example, that stroke that took all of them at 65, if you start early to make life changes, you might be 80 and have never become diabetic. So please, don't let all these things get in your head. And I just trying to get us to think about our health and wellness differently this year. I have missed a few questions. So. Okay. So I'm going to start rounding up by telling you again that this year, choose which goal. You don't need to, sometimes some of us, there's a lot happening. Even if you go to a therapist now, most times they ask you to choose the 3 most important to start working on. So look at what is happening with you health-wise and ask yourself, there's information out there. Can I help myself, or do I need help? Do I need help from my friends who are doing it well, or do I need professional help? And look at your life, look at your schedule, because some people want to do things in a group. So you must have 2 or 3 of your friends in the same gym before you start going to the gym. You want people to be in your diet, doing the same diet with you and all of that. But sometimes, no. It's your health. It's you that are concerned. Like this month, I have been plant-based all month. It's already 15 days into the year, right? When early this year, like the first day of this year, I had a few volcanic looking near eruption pimples on my face. Today, there is none. Just the scars, right? So sometimes when you're about to start and you're trying to recruit people to start with you, they're dodging. They don't want to do it. But when they start seeing results, they start wanting to join in. Like when I started the plant-based this year and I asked Henry to join me, he's eating meat too. But each time I make my nice balanced meal, he arrives and joins to eat it. So start first. Start with yourself. Even in the plane, they tell you to put on your mask before helping others. Start with yourself. Your results will be the evidence someone else needs to get the motivation to get started. So start with yourself. I want you to have a healthy year this year. I want you to think about it, especially if you're chronically stressed. Now that I've explained to you some of the effects of stress. Hello, my sister-in-law. So now that I've explained to you some of the effects of stress, I want you to start consciously making an effort. Take a quiet time. Meditate. Even in the evenings, do deep breathing just to get the parasympathetic nervous system to take over so that you can relax, so that you can rest and digest. so that your body can recover from the stress response, because short bouts of stress is good for you. Cortisol is not your enemy. I see people trying to do cortisol detox. Your body produces cortisol from cholesterol. There's a whole process. Your body will make it and your body will eliminate it. So you don't need to take detox diets for cortisol. And cortisol in itself has a lot of biological functions. And if you had none, you would die. You just don't want it chronically elevated. That's the problem. And I hope that I have been able to impact some knowledge this evening. I will show up more. We'll talk about more health and wellness topics through the year. I feel I've seen a lot of healthcare professionals doing health topics. And this year, I just felt a moral obligation to add my voice. Not just because it's the right thing to do, but last year, a few of my very good friends had passed away. None of them made it to age 50. And it really broke my heart. And it just put something in my heart to be out here and just sharing information so that we can do better with our health this year. So I want to, is our weekend already because it's Thursday in Qatar. So I want to wish you a great weekend, a healthy new year, and all the best. Take care. I love you. Bye.